we talked about a couple weeks ago, just to see the game that he had and the progression that he's had since last year. Just what strides have you seen him hold it like for you to be able to see that a game like he had last year?
Which guy?
Isaiah Horton.
Oh yeah, I mean he's obviously got that potential. You know, he just gets opportunities. The more opportunities he gets, the more plays he'll make. I mean, talented, very talented dude. You know, I think that I go to this all the time with that group, a lot of groups, but just do what you do, stay positive, and when you get your opportunity, make a play, right? I mean, there's going to be games where you catch 100 and games where you catch 30, you know, so I mean, find ways to affect the game, right? And he does, he affects the game, he plays hard every snap, and then when he gets opportunities, obviously he can make plays, so that's awesome to see.
Shannon, along those lines, Sam Brown, you know, obviously came here for a reason with, you know, very big expectations, and he got here late. Been a little slow coming for him, but how big was that catch the other day? And you see that propelling him?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he needed that, you know, to be honest with you. I mean, he needed to make a big play because that's who he is, you know. He's a guy that can make plays down the field. So to see him make that play, and you know, he's gonna make a lot of plays like that. And so, you know, I mean, he did like get here late, and so I mean, it was a little bit different for him because I mean, heck, he didn't even start camp, right? And so, you know, but good to see him make a play. He can make a lot of them.
Offense went 5 of 5 red zone touchdowns.
Yeah.
How pleased are you with just the year-over-year improvement in that facet, and what has led to improved success?
I think when you get down there, the field gets smaller, so running the ball obviously helps, you know, and so we can get in some nagging, like, distance yardage, you know. If we get some yards on first down, then we're 2nd and 6, 2nd and 3. You can do a lot of things when you're in those situations. So, you know, the closer you get, obviously the more focused you have to be executing pass game because you don't have a lot of space. And so, but both of those really work together. If they're so obsessed with stopping the run, which they were, then we can get some one-on-one throws out there. You know, we got and in those situations, you gotta make a good throw and give them a chance and make a play. But that was a huge emphasis. We want touchdowns over field goals, and it hadn't always happened this year, but it happened Saturday, which was good.
And Shannon, speaking of teams like stopping the run, it seems like Damien and Mark in particular haven't really had a lot of explosive plays the last 2 weeks. Jordan Lyle and AJ Allen the last 2 weeks broken off some explosives, but especially early in the games the last 2 weeks, not a lot of explosiveness in the running games. What have you seen from what's going on with that?
Well, I mean, they came out and they put everybody in the box, which was kind of shocking to me, but, you know, I mean, that was, you know, whatever, you know, to me, and I know that, you know, you look at stats and you look at everything, but I think we're good at both, and you pick your poison. I mean, which one do you want to defend? You know, if you want to do what South Florida did and put everybody in the box and play man coverage, then we're probably not going to have a lot of explosive runs, you know. Now, later in the game, whenever we were trying to lean on them a little bit, you know, I just took my foot off the gas and was like, you know, I mean, they can play man coverage now, but let's get big and lean on them. Obviously, we can do that too, you know, so, but yeah, when they come out and put everybody in there, then, I mean, yeah, well, you kind of, you know, played my hand there a little bit, right? So kind of got to adjust the game plan a little bit and go to more man beaters.
Are you pleased with how the running is going this season in general, when the box numbers are advantageous for running?
I am. I mean, I think that we can obviously get better in both, to be quite honest with you. I mean, we threw for a lot of yards Saturday, but we missed a handful too, you know, so it's not like one side is polished in perfection either. But I do think that there's some things that we can do better in the run game, you know, when they do give us the numbers, and when they do, typically, as the game goes on, and you can look back at like Ball State, and like as the game went on and they started moving the mic out of the box, Fletcher hit like a 40-yarder, you know, and so, you know, it's just one of those things where you just got to stick with it, and our guys are talented, so I mean, you know, if they get some grass, they're going to make a play.
What are your early thoughts on, you know, Virginia Tech's defense and kind of the challenge they present to you guys?
I mean, they're very physical. I mean, they got a lot of returning starters. They played a ton of ball together. D-line wise, I mean, you know, 52 leads the conference in sacks. Not that we've had a lot of conference games, but at this point, you know, their ability to get to the quarterback and affect the quarterback has been proven. And so they're very active, they're aggressive. You know, again, they're one of those defenses that, you know, kind of obsess about stopping the run. And their safeties are get downhill and get active in the run game. So we got to do a good job at receiver, at digging those guys out and blocking the seventh guy and sometimes eighth guy at times. But they are very aggressive and physical. I mean, it'll be our biggest challenge to date, to be honest with you.
When you got up 2 touchdowns in the second half.
Do I know?
When you got up 2 scores
Yep.
on Saturday, USF did what you would expect them to do. The corner would gamble. You know, they're trying to make plays.
Yeah.
How do you explain how Cam handles those moments? I mean, I know some of it's film and recognition, but how much of it is just natural? Like the ability to stay calm and see it. And
Yeah.
you can't really teach that, I don't think, or can you?
No, I mean he sees things in the back end that most people don't see, to be honest with you. I mean, that specific play you're probably talking about, the throw to Sam, you know, I mean, that corner misstepped, you know what I mean? And I asked him when we were watching that tape, and basically that's what he saw, you know, the corner made a mistake, and he stepped up and triggered cover 2 to us, and he knew it was coming there. Now, you know, they do try to disguise cover 2 a lot, South Florida does, and you know, through film study, a lot of times when you try to disguise it really good, the safety don't get to where he needs to get. And so that was one of those things that we talked about through the week, that if we could catch them in cover 2 and they were really trying to disguise it, we could take advantage of it, but sometimes those opportunities don't come up in a game. It came up on that specific play, which was good, because we really needed it, right? I mean, we really needed that play.
You know, what's going through your mind when you call a play and Cam goes up to the line of scrimmage and starts pointing and telling the guys exactly where the play is coming? And then,
I didn't really see that in real time.
and then it works.
Yeah, I didn't really see that in real time. But that's, you know, that kind of answers your question earlier. I mean, I look at things through a different set of glasses when we talk about run game, because that specifically, I mean, we get down there and, you know, they pretty much know we're running it, and we know we're running it, and he tells them where we're running it, and our whole line just blows them off the ball, you know. So, I mean, we can be physical too, you know, and so, you know, but I didn't see that in real time. I saw it on film, so it's just one of those deals.
Missed something really cool.
Yeah, I guess.
Just as you guys get into conference play, 4 games under your belt, just what have you learned about this offense that maybe you didn't know about them going into the season?
I mean, we're a veteran bunch, and you know, we really do stay focused in the moment, and that's one thing that as coaches we preach, because you know, ultimately when the game is done, that's over with. No matter how good or how bad you do, you gotta treat Sunday like Sunday and Monday like Monday. And so we do have a lot of guys that stay tunnel visioned on the moment, you know, and I think that carries over to preparations during the week, and I think it carries over to in the game whenever bad things go bad. You know, so just like the pick we threw, right? And, you know, and he's going to catch that 99% of the time, but we didn't in that specific moment. We threw a pick. The defense obviously has to go out there. We put them in a bad place. Our guys go over there, and it's just on to the next play. You know, and I appreciate that, because there's no panic. There's no, like, pointing fingers. It's just, hey, it is what it is. It's over. Move forward and play the next play. What are we going to do the next drive? And so we have a bunch of guys on offense that really do get over the previous drive, the previous play, no matter how good or how bad it was, and they just move on to the next play. They don't get affected by much, which is what you want to see. You don't want to see up and down. You want to see people kind of stay in the middle and just execute, you know?
You're number
Block
one.
the emotions out.
I think you're number 1 right now in third down offense and 20+ yards gains on the year. Is that typical to see efficiency and explosiveness like that tied together?
You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would have to look back at years to see. I mean, the third down stuff is partly, you know, receivers getting open, and partly, you know, at times Cam can scramble around and get a first down, which is both. You know, you gotta have both. If you're gonna be good on third down, because defenses spend a lot of their time on third down. So they're gonna get exotic, you're gonna see things that you haven't necessarily seen on tape, you know, so there's a chance that everybody gets covered, you know, and it's one thing about third downs that, like, I'm gonna state the obvious, but it's the truth. It's the last down. So treat it like it's the last down. Meaning that, like, whatever you gotta do to get the first down, get the first down. You know, and I appreciate guys straining on third down, because ultimately it is the last down, and it needs to be treated as the last down. And so there's nothing more frustrating than not treating it like the last down. You know, and it happens a lot. You see it happen a lot. And so you got to scratch and claw our guys' eyes out on third down, because we need another set of downs. And so I do think that that is a product of guys out there understanding that, hey, I got to do my job at the highest level, heightened sense of everything, because this is the last down. And so it's the both of them play. Now the explosive play deal is more, you know, once guys get the ball in their hand, there's nothing, you know, the play, in my opinion, the scheme of the play is over. That's, you know, genetics and recruiting take over then, you know.
Cam mentioned, I think, you know, maybe once or twice during the year so far, that you guys have been doing a lot of routine stuff on offense and executing it very well. How much of the ACC play is about to get started? Do you anticipate maybe going to some of the less routine stuff, maybe open a playbook and some bag of tricks a little bit more?
I think look, there's always going to be, I believe to my core, that routine plays win games. I say that a lot, and I'll always believe that. And there's a tipping point of, like, hey, being cute and creative and executing football. You know, a lot of times, you know, as the season goes, I mean, defenses know what you're good at. We know what they're good at. You know, if you don't have some kind of trend, then you're probably not good on either side. Like, you know, that's just facts. And so, yeah, we're going to try to break trends, and we're going to try to do some things that are creative every week. But there's going to be a majority of our game plan that is just trying to window dress what we do the best. And that's just the way football is. Everybody's really like that. And you try to, like, see, okay, well, we've done this a couple times, maybe we can do that off of that. Little wrinkles, absolutely, those things happen. But I'm a firm believer in, hey, routine plays win games. You watch games every weekend, NFL and college, a lot of the plays, 90% of them are routine plays, you know. It's the 10% or 5% that gets on SportsCenter and Twitter that everybody gets excited about, right? And they want to dissect it. That don't excite me. Like, what excites me is throwing a hook route or throwing a cross route and throwing it on time and hitting them, or throwing an option route. Like, that excites me more than the other stuff, to be honest.
I was going to ask you, do you get excited? Do you have a good time saying, like, hey, you pull one out of the bag or out of the back of the playbook saying, like, watch this?
I mean, that's going to happen every now and again. It will. And a lot of times those things, you know, you work on them all week and they don't hit, you know, and it's the other stuff that works, right? And so, you know, it's just, you got to sprinkle some stuff in, and creativity is awesome, but there is a tipping point to where you could have too much of that stuff and it could go the other way, right? So that's just game planning weekly to figure out what that balance is.
We'll do a couple more for Coach Dawson.
You guys are having success with scramble situations where Cam improvises, and I assume that that's worked on in practice. Is it part of organized practice, or is that stuff the kids do on their own?
We do have a scramble drill that we do, but since he's been here, when we go against our defense, it kind of organically happens in practice ever since we started spring practice. And the way we practice, we just let plays keep going. And so I do think that kids, you know, they pay attention. You know, I mean, it doesn't take long if you're a receiver or a tight end or a running back to figure out he's going to extend plays. So I better keep playing, right? And so I think the more that happens in practice situations, the more guys figure out, hey, look, this play could last 6 or 7 seconds. You know, I get my eyes on the quarterback, and wherever he's going, I got to go, right? And so there are some basic scramble rules that we try to adhere to, but a lot of times that gets thrown out. you know, because ultimately you're just trying to find open space in a direction that the quarterback is going. But they all do keep working, and I do think that's a product of just them playing together in the spring and him doing it a lot in practice, and us letting the play keep going, you know, which is awesome.
There's a play in the first quarter where you guys are backed up and they send a blitzer and he hit Mark Fletcher in the backfield like clean. What happened on that play? Things after watching the film, what happened on that play?
That's an interesting question that you asked about that play, actually. So they were man-free and at a 4-2 box, and so we were motioning a tight end across and just basically running split zone. And so that guy's defending the tight end, right? So he just took, and I would be interested to talk to him or their coach. I mean, he took a gamble, and he was trailing behind, so he knew that he was in trouble. So he just shot the B gap, you know. And so now you talk about run game a while ago. That's a very specific play you're talking about, where if that guy does his job, it's a very unsound thing to do in that particular defense they were running, right? That doesn't happen. But if he tracks the tight end, the ball's out the B gap for a big one, right? Or if we slip the tight end, the ball is out to the tight end for a big one because nobody's guarding him, right? So that's just one of those plays where defense took a gamble and it paid off. You know, we actually just didn't take advantage of a gamble that was taken. If any one of the other things would have happened on offense, we would have had a big play. But that specific gamble that kid took paid off because we handled it. You know, but it was nothing like, we couldn't have blocked him in that situation. There wasn't anybody targeting him. He was the man player on the tight end. He should have been tracking over the top, but he took a gamble and ran through the B gap and made a play. Good play by that kid, really. If he recognized something in that play, that was a good play by him.
Xavier Restrepo, he's now a top 10 all-time U.S. receiver, having a great season so far, great season last year. He hadn't done any of that when you got here. So what did you know about him when you got here, and how have you seen him grow since you arrived?
I mean, I think some people are natural fits for certain schemes. It was easy to see with him where he fit in our offense. You know, we've always kind of had a guy like that where you run a lot of option routes, you do a lot of things over the middle, a lot of the routes that he runs that are outbreaking. I mean, guys like him get matched up against linebackers and safeties. They have good lateral mobility and they have good body control. And so when you first get to a place, you're kind of looking at bodies, thinking about, okay, that guy looks like an X, that guy looks like this, that guy looks like that. And when they start making plays and moving around, you can kind of start filtering those guys into those spots. Because you're trying to figure out, okay, what is the identity of that kid, right? What's he good at, right? And so with Strep, it was easy to see that kid was an H. You know, I mean, he was an H in our offense, which for years, you can go back in time and see like kind of who he's like, right? And so it just so happened that it was just a really good fit for him, and he, you know, he has a really good skill set for what we ask him to do. And he does, I mean, he plays with a very, very, you know, high motor. I mean, he strains very, very hard every play. If it's blocking, if he's running routes, if he doesn't get the ball. And so his effort really is the reason he gets open a lot, but his skill set and his ability to run those intermediate routes is really crucial for our offense.
And you mentioned like his body control. It seems like he's very good at just like stopping on a dime, making miss. And, like, how often do you see a player come around and be able to do that like that?
You know, I mean, I don't know what Strep would run in the 40, but I know that like when he runs a route, he runs it fast. And when he stops and starts, he stops and starts fast. And if the ball is in his like cylinder, in his hands, in his whatever you want to call it, that he typically can like manipulate his body and make the catch, you know. So those are all good things if you're a receiver.
Awesome.